The sun beat down on the Florida Everglades. A thick humidity hung in the air, heavy and oppressive. It was here, in this unforgiving landscape, that a centuries-old struggle for freedom reached its climax. This is the story of the Third Seminole War, the final chapter of Seminole resistance in Florida. From 1855 to 1858, the Seminoles, led by the indomitable Chief Billy Bowlegs, fought valiantly against overwhelming odds. The Seminoles, a proud and independent people, had already endured 2 brutal wars with the United States. Each time, they had been promised peace and security, only to see those promises broken. Their land, their homes, their very way of life were under threat. The Third Seminole War was a clash of cultures, a conflict born of broken treaties and unyielding ambition. It was a war that would decide the fate of a people and leave an enduring legacy on the landscape of Florida. The stage was set for a final, desperate struggle. The Seminoles were not strangers to warfare. They had honed their skills in the crucible of conflict, learning to turn the unforgiving terrain of the Everglades into their greatest ally. They were masters of guerrilla warfare, able to strike swiftly and silently before melting back into the dense undergrowth. Their resistance was not merely a matter of military strategy, it was a testament to their enduring spirit. The Seminoles were determined to protect their ancestral lands, their culture, and their way of life. They were fighting for something far greater than themselves. They were fighting for the future of their people. The United States Army, accustomed to conventional warfare, found itself facing a formidable foe. The Seminoles' knowledge of the terrain, their resilience, and their unwavering determination posed a significant challenge. The Third Seminole War was a conflict that tested the limits of human endurance, a story of courage, sacrifice, and the fight for freedom against all odds. The embers of resistance still burned brightly in the hearts of the Seminole people. The previous wars had failed to extinguish their desire for freedom. They fought for their land, their families, their very existence. The spirit of defiance pulsed through their veins. Chief Billy Bowlegs embodied this spirit of resistance. He had witnessed the suffering of his people. He refused to be cowed by the might of the United States Army. The relentless tide of westward expansion washed over the Florida peninsula, carrying waves of settlers hungry for land and opportunity. These pioneers saw Florida as a land of promise. However, the Seminoles stood in the way. Their presence represented an obstacle to be overcome. The settlers viewed the Seminoles as impediments to progress. The U.S. government, under pressure to resolve the Indian question, adopted forced removal. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 set in motion the forced relocation of thousands of Native Americans. The Seminoles were no exception. The government offered financial incentives and land in the West. However, these offers were often deceptive. The Seminoles largely rejected these offers. When inducements failed, the government resorted to force. The army was dispatched to subdue the Seminoles. The Third Seminole War was unlike any conflict the United States Army had ever fought. It was waged in the dense, unforgiving swamps of the Florida Everglades. The Seminoles, masters of their environment, waged relentless guerrilla war. Their tactics were as elusive as shadows beneath the thick canopy. They struck swiftly, ambushing patrols, raiding settlements, then melting back into the swamps. The U.S. Army, accustomed to traditional warfare, found itself bogged down. Soldiers were plagued by disease, insects, and constant fear of ambush. The Seminoles' ability to dictate terms gave them a decisive advantage. The Seminoles' raids were as swift as a summer thunderstorm, as deadly as a cottonmouth strike. They would emerge from the swamps with the sudden fury of a hurricane, targeting isolated homesteads and military outposts. Their hit-and-run tactics and ability to vanish into the swamps left the army grasping at shadows. Each successful raid was a victory for the Seminoles, a testament to their resilience and determination. Their ability to strike at will prolonged the conflict and frustrated the Army's efforts. The U.S. Army, confident of a quick victory, found itself in a protracted conflict. The Seminoles' guerrilla tactics and ability to disappear into the swamps frustrated the Army. Soldiers unprepared for the harsh conditions struggled in the swamps. The Army launched campaigns into the Everglades, hoping for a decisive confrontation. They hacked through dense undergrowth and waded through mosquito-infested swamps. Yet the Seminoles vanished, reappearing miles away to strike. The Army's frustration grew with each passing month. Unable to defeat the Seminoles in open combat, the U.S. Army resorted to a brutal strategy of attrition. They targeted the Seminoles' food supply, burning their villages and driving away their livestock. The goal was to starve the Seminoles into submission. Families were forced to flee their homes, seeking refuge in the Everglades. Their numbers dwindled as hunger and disease took their toll. The message was clear: surrender or face annihilation. The War of Attrition was a brutal chapter in the Third Seminole War. The war in the Everglades had become a costly and bloody stalemate. The U.S. government, facing mounting casualties, began to question the conflict. The Seminoles, decimated by war and disease, clung to their freedom. The Army's scorched earth tactics failed to break the Seminoles' spirit. Chief Billy Bowlegs continued to inspire resistance. The weight of war. Chief Billy Bowlegs bore the weight of the war heavy on his shoulders. He had witnessed the suffering, the loss, the devastation, their numbers dwindling, resources depleted, future uncertain. The government's offer of peace was fraught with risk. Could he trust men who had broken treaty after treaty? The choice was agonizing, determining the fate of his people. A journey west. In 1858, Chief Billy Bowlegs surrendered after years of conflict. He led his followers west to the Indian Territory, far from Florida. The journey was a somber exodus from their homeland. They boarded ships, faces etched with sorrow. The Seminoles' relocation ended a bloody struggle for freedom. They carried their culture and spirit, determined to preserve their identity. The Third Seminole War had reached its bitter end. The Seminoles, once masters of the Florida Everglades, were now scattered exiles. The U.S. government moved quickly to consolidate its control over the newly acquired territory. Settlers poured into Florida, eager to claim their stake in the sun-drenched paradise. The Everglades, once a symbol of Seminole resistance, were now seen as an obstacle to progress. The forced removal of the Seminoles left a profound scar on the landscape. Though scattered and dispersed, the Seminole spirit endured. The journey west was arduous, fraught with hardship and loss. In Indian Territory, they clung to their traditions, preserving their identity. They adapted, learning to farm, hunt, and navigate their new home. They formed communities, built schools, and kept their heritage alive. The Seminoles' story is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. The Third Seminole War, though a defeat for the Seminoles, left an indelible mark on Florida and the United States. It stands as a testament to the Seminoles' courage and tenacity. Their story continues to inspire generations. The Seminoles' legacy is one of resistance and cultural survival. Their story is a reminder of the fight for freedom. Today, the Seminole tribe of Florida stands resilient. They have rebuilt their lives and emerged stronger. The sun sets over the Florida Everglades, casting long shadows over the sawgrass and cypress trees. The Third Seminole War marked the end of large-scale resistance, but underscored their unconquerable spirit. They adapted, persisted, and thrived, keeping their traditions alive. Those who remained in Florida became a beacon of resilience. The Third Seminole War is a stark reminder of the cost of progress. Their legacy is one of courage, resilience, and an unyielding commitment to their heritage. If you like videos like this, please subscribe and click that notification button. Thanks for watching This and That News.